Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock on a Monday, which means it's time for a 5x5. Well, it's normally time for a 5x5. The 5x5s will return next week. However, I wanted to do a very special video for you guys tonight. Now, some of you probably know, most of you know, that I run an online streaming platform called the Netrix. And inside the Netrix, there's bronze, silver and gold levels. Gold levels, one-to-one mentorship. Bronze levels are thousands of tricks, thousands of sleights from some of the greatest creators in Magic. And the silver level, we talk more about business. There's a lot of business-related courses, as well as weekly VMCs. Now, a VMC is a virtual Magic club. There's 4 of those every month, where I sit down with members of the Netrix and we chat about a different subject every single time. It's sometimes about Magic, it's sometimes about a sleight, it's sometimes about Magic news, it's sometimes a business-related topic. And all of the VMCs are recorded, so even if you can't make it live, you can go in and watch them later on. In fact, when you become a member of the Netrix, you get access to the archives from day one, which means you could go back and watch every single VMC for the past 3 years, including online lectures from people like Kyle Purnell, David Jonathan, Justin Miller, Joel Dickinson, Rich Relish, John Morton, Wayne Goodman, the list goes on and on and on. There's so much value in the silver level. Anyway, we had a VMC the other night, and it was about networking, business networking, how to network effectively, how to be a good networker. Because you see, the thing is, when I first set up my business, I built my business through networking. And although I don't really do networking as much these days, if I didn't network back in the early days, I probably wouldn't be where I am now. So business networking, I'm a huge advocate of. And a lot of people, they hear the term, what is business networking, but they don't really understand what it is. So we did a VMC in the Netrix, and it was me talking about how to be an effective business networker, how to make it work for you, how to grow your business through business networking, and everything that you need to know. And I took questions afterwards. Now, it was an amazing VMC, as they all are, and there was a great bunch of people on there with me. This question has come up a lot on Magic TV as well. So on Magic TV, there has been a lot of times where people have talked about business networking and how can I network effectively. And I was going to do a video on it. And then I thought, well, why don't I pull back the curtain and give you a sneak peek of one of the VMCs that take place in the Netrix. I've done this a couple of times and it's always been well received. So that's what I'm going to do today. Everybody wants to know what networking is all about. Everybody wants to know what happens on a VMC. You're about to see. This is a VMC from last night, and it's all about business networking, how to network effectively, why business networking works, my personal networking journey, and hints and tips to actually get more gigs through networking. Honestly, if you get gigs for a living and you want to get more gigs, this is absolutely a video that you want to watch. Let's have a look at the VMC.
So this VMC is a little bit of a different one. We did a business one last month, and everyone seemed to like it. So I thought I'd try another business one out, and I want you guys to let me know. Everyone's here. Let me know if you want to see another one of these in the future, because I love talking business, but I don't want to be like doing VMCs that people aren't interested in. But when I was thinking about topics to talk about when it came to business and running a business, one of the things that I knew I wanted to speak about was networking. And the reason is a lot of people, when they're running a business, not just in Magic, but everything, any type of business, a lot of people, a lot of business owners, they kind of, right at the very beginning, they get told, oh, you're going to go networking. If you want to get more work, you've got to go networking. You're going to go business networking. But a lot of people don't know what to do when they go business networking. They don't really know how to do it properly or what it is or anything like that. We just get told that we've got to do it. And me personally, when I started taking my business seriously, genuinely, for probably the first 2 years, the biggest thing that I did that had a biggest impact on sales and leads was networking. Some of my biggest contracts I got through networking. And even to this day, I still even though I don't go networking anymore, and I'll tell you why later on I don't go networking anymore, but even though I don't know networking anymore, I'm still in contact with all of my old networking contacts and they still pass me work and I still speak to them about stuff I need them to do because it's relationships that I've built that will last forever as long as I'm in business. So networking is really important. It's really helped me grow my business. And if you're running a business or you work at a place where you are responsible for generating leads or generating inquiries, networking is a big aspect of that. So let me ask a question to everyone's here. Does anybody here go networking on a regular basis? No. Has anybody been told that they should go networking on a regular basis? Yes. What's the reason for not going? Is it because you don't really know what you're doing, that you don't think it's going to work, that you don't really know what to do? Is there a particular reason why, if you're getting told, oh, a great way to get work is networking, but you've not really gone networking that much, is there a particular reason?
My reason is I've looked into it. So I type in business networking around my area and stuff. And it's hard to filter out which one to go to because they're all I, I don't know if it's going to be a scam. I don't know if it's going to be any good. Uh, I just don't know. When I'm doing the research, I don't know what to go for because it's an investment. Yeah, you have to pay to go to them. So I don't want to waste my money. So it worries me a bit that I'm going to go to the wrong one. Does that make
Okay,
sense?
that's a good reason. Is there any other reasons why people don't go networking? That's kind of money and not really knowing what you're doing or not really knowing where to go with it. Those are probably the two main reasons, I would imagine, right? So let me give you an overview of networking because it can work. It can generate like you guys know, well, some of you might know, some of you might not know. I've got the contract with Drayton Manor Hotel over here in the UK. Now, Drayton Manor is a huge theme park. It's not the biggest theme park, but it's one of the biggest theme parks in the UK. And I've got the contract there, and that came as a result of networking. If I hadn't been networking, I wouldn't have got that contract, and that contract's worth a lot of money. So, networking does work. But let's just very quickly talk about, let's address the first question. Where would you go networking and what is networking? So, the whole idea of networking is you go in a room with other business owners, and the whole idea is to promote yourself so that more people get to find out what you do as a business, whilst at the same time finding out what other people do as well. It's basically building up relationships with other like minded business owners that will eventually help you both. Like, for example, if you meet a plumber and you need a plumber, you might go to that plumber. If they need a magician, they might come to you. So people go networking in hope of connecting with other business owners and hoping that there's somebody out there that will buy their stuff. Right. That's basically the main reason why most people go networking. They don't go there for the food. They don't go there for the casual conversation. They don't go there for any other reason other to get work. If you were the busiest person in the world, if you had more gigs and more work flowing in than anybody else, you would not go business networking. You go business networking to build up relationships and generate more leads, more inquiries, more income, more turnover, whatever you want to say, right? Now, with that in mind, there are thousands of networking events. You are right, Thomas. It is like a minefield. You will Google networking events in Derby, business networking events in Derby or Matlock or wherever it is that you are, and you will see that there are dozens and dozens of hits. Now, herein lies the problem. There are two main type of networking events. Well, there's three. Okay. The first is free business networking. I'm sure you've all seen this when you've Googled it. Come to our free business networking event. Hundreds of business owners. Promote your business, build contacts, blah, 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 blah. We've all seen those free business networking events, right? They are absolutely not worth your time. They're not worth your energy. They're not worth your effort. And I speak to you from personal experience. When I first started, there's a football club near me called West Bromwich Albion Football Club. And their ground, the Hawthorns, every month they promoted a free networking event for business owners in the area. And for the first 6 months of business, when I started taking my business seriously, I went there. And I didn't get a single lead. I didn't get a single booking or anything. Because here's the thing. It's the word free. Anytime you see the word free, you run a mile. And the reason is the only type of person that a free business networking event attracts are people that don't want to spend any money on marketing their business and don't understand the value of networking in the first place. They go to these free networking events, and honestly, it's like a fucking cattle market. They don't give a shit about what you do. They don't give a damn. All they're concerned with is going around and giving their business card out to as many people as they can because it is a box ticking exercise. They're probably new into business, or they've been told that networking is a thing that they have to do. And they think, well, okay, if I give my business card to 100 people, that's 100 people who will potentially maybe ring me up and buy my services. In reality, what happens when you go to those events is you spend 2 hours there drinking weak-ass tea and weak-ass coffee. You leave 2 hours later with a pocket full of business cards, which either get thrown in the bin immediately upon leaving the venue, or within 5 hours of leaving the venue, they get thrown in the bin. You will never do anything with those business cards. The people that you give your business cards to will never do anything. If you see free networking, run a mile. Right. And that type of networking event actually puts people off networking. And I've spoken to people in the past and I've gone, have you gone networking? They're going, yeah, I've tried a few free networking events and I've decided it's not for me. No, of course it's not, because you don't want to parade yourself around a cattle market. Right. So that's the first type of business networking. The second type, good night, Ryan, love you. The second type of, love you. The second type of business networking is, one-off events that they charge you a nominal fee to go to. They charge you like £10 or something, but it's not like a weekly thing or a fortnightly thing. It's a one-off thing that they've just set up and they've run. And these are probably just as bad, if not worse. Because even though they're not free and you're paying like £10 or $10 to go there, the only person benefiting on these sort of events is the person that's organizing them in the first place. Because what will happen is they'll find a free room or a room that they've got for pence, and they will charge £10 to everybody that comes, and you'll probably have less people coming because people have to pay, and it's like, oh, I don't want to pay. So you'll have 30 or 40 people in the room. They'll walk out with $400, 400 quid, something like that. And you've got the same amount of people, you've got the same type of people in that room, because they're not wanting to take networking seriously. It's again a box ticking exercise. The people that go to there, they go, oh, I'm going to go to a one-off event, blah, 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 blah. They're not giving their business cards. They're giving the business cards out. You're never going to get any work from it. It's just never going to happen, right? So the only networking that works is the networking where you go to a networking event on a regular basis, be that weekly or be that fortnightly. Those are the networking events that work. Now, there's quite a few of them in the UK. The biggest one worldwide that I was a member of for years is BNI. It stands for Business Networking International. I've also, for many, many years, I was a member of For Networking, which was run by Brad Burton. Now it's run by somebody else. Brad stepped away from it. Both of those are great, and they both have a very similar model. There's others like it as well. There's other networking events like it as well. But those are the best ones to go for, and I'm going to tell you why. It's because you go, let's use BNI for an example, because For Networking is really just based in the UK, while BNI is international. Everybody in almost every single country has a BNI. It is huge. So BNI, you have chapters. You have chapters all around you'll have multiple chapters where you live. And most networking organizations like BNI, they have a single seat policy, which means that if there's an accountant at that chapter, they are the only accountant. If there is a florist at that chapter, they are the only florist. If there is a digital marketer at that chapter, they are the only digital marketer. It's a single seat policy, right? And I'll explain why it's a single seat policy in a bit. So if you join those chapters, you become the only magician that's there. So we'll talk about how to get there and trial it out in a minute. But let me talk about what happens when you actually become a member of BNI. So what will happen is they normally meet weekly, and it's normally an insanely early time. Like it's normally ridiculously early. Like when I did BNI for years, I had to leave and catch the. Bearing in mind I don't drive, and there was no way that Sarah was going to give me a lift, and I had no money at the time because I was just building my business. So I caught the first bus to get to BNI. My BNI chapter that I wanted to go to was at Wolverhampton. I had to catch the 4:55 in the morning bus that got me into Wolverhampton at 5:45, and then I had to do a 25-minute walk from one side of Wolverhampton to the other to get to this chapter. I was just, and when I turned up there, I was like dead to the earth. Like that was, and I did that for years, right? So it's normally a ridiculously early start because, and the reason it's such an early start is because a lot of the people that go to these BNI chapters are serious business people. They want to get into the office at 9 o'clock. So normally it's all said and done by like 8 or quarter to 8 or something like that. It's normally a 2-hour thing. You get there at 6, open network until 6:30. You know, it's normally done by 8. So when you become a BNI member, you go to a chapter every single week. And it's the same day every single week. Let's say it's a Wednesday, because my chapter was on a Wednesday. You would turn up on a Wednesday morning, 6 o'clock, and the first half an hour is open networking. So that's when you're walking in to the venue and everybody is standing around chatting. And you know everybody there because when you do BNI, you're going to the same chapter every single week. So it's not like those big networking events that are free where you see different people every single time. You see the same people every single time. Now, one of the things that I get asked by people that are wanting to go networking is, well, hang on a minute, isn't that ridiculous? Surely networking, you want to see lots of different people. No, you don't. Because networking, business networking, is all about establishing relationships. It's about educating people on who you are and what your business is all about. Your goal is to get people to know who you are and what you're after and what your business is. And you want to get to know those people as well. And you can never build up a relationship like that when you see people once. You can build up a relationship like that where you see people every single week. Case in point, for example, Thomas and Martin. Thomas and Martin, for example, when you started working with me at Nonstop Kids, you probably got less work than you do now because over the time I've got to know you and I've got to realize how great and entertaining you are. So you get more work now. It's safe to say that you get more work now than you did when you first started. It's the same with networking. The more you get to know these people, the more they get to like you. It's called, if they get to know you and they get to like you, they're going to want to use you. Here's the thing. So for example, if you go to a big free networking event and you go to somebody who's a jeweler and you go, hey, jeweler, my name's Craig. I'm a magician. You have brides coming into your jewelers. Suggest me as a magician. Here's my business card. Why in the blue hell would they suggest you? They don't know who you are for Adam. You could be the shittest magician in the world. You could be pants. You could turn up and stink the joint up. Why would they suggest you to their clients that they've probably spent years building up a relationship with? They won't. You'll give them the card and they'll go, oh, thank you very much. I'll keep that. So next time I get somebody into the shop, I'll get them to give you a call. Will they fuck? They won't. But if you go to a weekly networking, an organized networking event, they will see you every single week. They will get to know you. They'll get to they'll realize that you're very good at what you do. They'll get to understand your business. They get to know you. They get to like you. They get to trust you. And once they've trusted you, then they will be happy to refer you to their friends, family, and clients. Does that make sense? So it's not a problem. So seeing the same people every single week is actually a good thing. That's one of the big secrets to becoming a successful networker. Building up relationships. Relationship marketing is actually what it's called. So what happens is you You go to the networking event. The first half an hour is open networking. You're chatting to each other, you're drinking coffee, you're catching people up. It's just formal chit chat, right? Then you go into a room where it's all laid out for everyone to have breakfast. And there's normally a president or a chairman or somebody like that, and a vice chairman. It's all very official. And uh, the president will then open the meeting. And what will happen is, first of all, you will have a 60-second round. So you're eating your breakfast, and as you're eating your breakfast, you have a 60 seconds out round. Now, what a 60-second round is, every single one of the people in that room will have 60 seconds to promote their business. So they will stand up and they will tell everybody about their business and who they are and what they do. And you'll see everybody else around the room making notes, because this is your chance to educate your fellow people in the room, right? And one of the most important things about this is being specific. Because here's what I think about when I think about this type of networking. When you go into a weekly thing, I kind of think of it as, I've got my own sales team of, let's say there's 20 people in the chapter, 25 people. I've got my own sales team of 20, 25 people that are going out and selling my business for me on my behalf. I'm telling them the type of work that I want, and they're going out and getting that work for me. And when I do this 60-second round, I'm educating people specifically about what it is that I'm looking to get. Because the thing is, if you're specific, they know what to look for. If I just turn around and go, I'm a magician, I want somebody who wants to book a magician, well, that's not very helpful. They might book, they might hear somebody who wants a clown and they might go to you, but you might be a corporate magician. You might, it needs to be specific. So, for example, if I was still networking now, and I haven't done this in about 3 or 4 years, so maybe even longer, let me see if I can do a 60 seconds. If I was doing a 60 seconds right now, it'd be something like this. I'd stand up and I'd say, hey guys, my name's Craig from Slightly Unusual, the Comedy Illusionists. Now, we specialize in corporate entertainment. What we do is we go along to your event and we have magicians that go around from table to table performing magic close up right in front of people's eyes and in their hands. It's a great conversation starter. It's a great icebreaker. It brings groups of people together. Now, we can do everything else, everything up to large scale grand illusion shows, but right now we're coming into the Christmas season. Right now, everybody's booking for Christmas and they're booking for New Year's parties, and everybody wants a close-up magician. So I'm looking for clients that are looking to organize a Christmas party for their company. Now, it could be somebody that's organizing a Christmas party, or it could be a venue that's holding Christmas parties for clients and they can come in. It's either way, I can definitely come in, and myself and my team can add the wow factor. I'm especially looking to connect with Alton Towers. I already work with Drayton Manor. Alton Towers is just down the road. If somebody could connect me specifically to Alton Towers, that'd be great. But that's what I'm looking for right now. I am in charge of corporate entertainment for a lot of Christmas parties, and I'd like to be doing a lot more. My name's Craig Petty from Slightly Unusual. We are the Comedy Illusionists. Thank you very much. That would be my 60 seconds if I was doing it right now. Tell people who I am, what I'm doing, what I'm looking for, and I'm being very, very specific. Anybody who was in the room at that point would know what I'm looking for what I'm looking for. So now, all those businesses that are around the room who go to other networking events and have other clients, and probably have clients that are doing the sort of thing that I'm looking for, they now can sell me to those clients. So you have the 60-second round, and then typically what will happen is every week, one member of the chapter will stand up and do a 10-minute presentation where they'll spend 10 minutes talking about their business or doing something to do with their business to educate people more. And then there's the referral giving bit where everybody around the room passes referrals to each other. So it'll be like, have you got any referrals today? Yes, I've got a referral for Bob. I need Bob's a window cleaner, and I've got somebody here, a client of mine that's looking for an industrial window cleaner. There you go, Bob. There's your referral. And oh, thank you very much, Craig. You're more than welcome, Bob. Don't worry about it. And whatever it may be. So you pass the referrals around the room. And then that's the kind of the official end of the meeting, but you'll find that a lot of people will hang out afterwards and they'll do one-to-ones. Lot of networkers will do one-to-ones where they'll have like a half an hour conversation with somebody. They'll have 15 minutes, one person talking to them, and then the other 15 minutes, the other person talking back to them to find out more about each other's business. Because remember, it's about getting to know you, like you, and trust you. Relationship marketing. A lot of networkers take that very seriously. They spend a lot of time and effort building up a relationship with each other so that they can understand each other's businesses to get more work. Now, does that all make sense? Does that all make sense? So that is basically what a networking meeting kind of looks like. So can it work? Absolutely, yes, it can work. But there's a few things that you need to understand. The first thing that you need to understand is it's networking. It's not net eating, not net sleeping. It's not net chilling out. It's networking. You've got to work at it. I see a lot of people who go to networking organizations and they'll go there for a year, and then after a year, they'll give up. And I'll be like, why have you given up? And they'll be like, well, didn't work for me. I'm like, oh, didn't it work for you? Why didn't it work for you? And when I delve deep into it, it's because they haven't really given it 100%. A lot of people pay it lip service. They expect results immediately. First of all, it's about building relationships. You're never going to get those results immediately. But second of all, you got to work at it, right? You've got to work at it. A lot of people will just turn up. That's it. They'll just turn up, and they'll have the breakfast. They'll spout the 60 seconds. They'll look at it a waste of 2 hours of their morning, and then they'll fuck off, and they'll go every single week, and then they'll wonder why it hasn't worked for them. The way that this is the crux of BNI and any type of relationship marketing. And BNI came up with this concept, and it's used by networking organizations all over the world. It's the concept of givers gain, which basically means if I give you business, you are going to want to give me business back. So let's play role play for a minute, and let's just say Thomas runs a digital marketing agency. So I want to imagine that I become part of a chapter, and I've turned up and I'm a magician. I become part of a chapter. And on my first week, I listen to the pitch, and I'm new into business, and I hear Thomas talk about how he runs a digital marketing company. And Thomas, and then afterwards, I say, "Oh, Thomas, I'd love to have a chat with you. I'm a new business owner. I know I need to do stuff digitally. I don't know what to do. Please, can we have a chat? I'd love a quote of how you can help me." So I get a quote off Thomas, and then I start working with him, and I start using him as a client potentially. And he, I'm using him to do my SEO or my digital marketing or my PPC or whatever. Great. So I've just passed him a referral. Then let's just say that I imagine that I'm speaking, I'm going to another networking event, or I've gone and done a gig, and I speak to a client at the gig, and they're looking for help with their digital marketing. And I go, oh, I've got a friend that does digital marketing. He does mine. I actually network with him. His name's Thomas. He's actually really good. Would you like me to get him to give you a call? Yeah. Have you got a business card? Yeah. So then the next week at BNI, I'm like, here you go, Thomas. Here, this is this guy. I met him at an event last week. He's wanting help in his digital marketing. Please, can you give him a call? He's expecting your call. Brilliant. Okay, no problem. Thank you. And then a couple of weeks after that, I maybe speak to somebody else in business, and they're wanting help with their digital marketing. And I give you the card. I'm like, Thomas, this person needs help with their digital marketing. Can you give them a call? What's Thomas thinking now? Thomas is thinking, holy fucking shitballs, I'm getting a lot of work from this magician guy. I better start giving him some work, else he's going to start giving his referrals to somebody else. That is the concept of giver's gain. People, it's not about you, it's not about what you can get. And this is the difference in mindset between a free networking event and somewhere like BNI. When people go to a free networking event, all they care about is what they can get from you. A free networking event, you would go into it and go, I don't care about anybody else there. I want to tell as many people as possible about me and my company and who I am and what I do. When you go to BNI or you go to any of these kind of chapter-driven networking organizations, it's flipped on its head, and it's like, I want to try and help as many people as I possibly can, because if I give work to them, they are in turn wanting to give work to me. Givers gain. So when I go out networking regularly, I would go out of my way to try and find referrals for as many people as possible. I had a florist and a photographer and an event planner and a wedding venue in my chapter. And whenever I got an inquiry for a wedding, I'd be like, brilliant. So, oh, and I got a caricaturist up as well. And whenever I got an inquiry for a wedding on the phone, or somebody emailed in and I booked them, after booking them in, I'd say, by the way, have you organized everything else for your wedding yet? Have you organized your caricaturist or your photographer? You haven't. Oh, well, I've got a couple of friends that I work with. I can highly recommend them. Would you like me to would you like me to get them to give you a call? Yeah, you would. Okay, no problem. I would go out of my way to find as many people as possible, because then when I go into BNI, I'm the one, when it comes to the bit where we're passing referrals around, I'm like, yep, I've got a referral for Thomas, I've got a referral for Jeremy, I've got a referral for Chris, I've got a referral for Ian, I've got a referral for David. And they're like, holy crap, this guy's giving referrals to everybody. I want to be his friend. I'm going home and I'm like, fuck me, honey, find somebody who needs a magician, because we need to get this guy some work. But that's how it becomes. It becomes this sales force. But you can't just go into BNI and or one of these chapter-driven networking organizations and expect them to give you work. And that is the problem. That is why a lot of people fail at networking. They walk in with the big I am and they're like, right, okay, what work can you give me? And it's like, well, hang on a minute. Don't even know who you are, Chuckles. I'm not going to give you any work until you prove to me you're not shit. So it goes back to the fact it's networking, not net eating, not net sleeping. It's networking. You absolutely have to work at it 100%. To the point that I would put the whole morning, when I went there on a Wednesday, my whole morning was dedicated to BNI until about 12 o'clock. So the meeting would finish at 8 o'clock. I'd arrange a couple of one-to-ones afterwards, where I'd be building up relationships with a couple of people at that networking organization. Then I would stay in the venue with my laptop and I would go on LinkedIn. And I used to be super hot on LinkedIn. I'm not anymore, but I used to be super hot on LinkedIn. And I would be looking for LinkedIn for me was like virtual networking. So I'd be tapping up my car. If I would be making notes during people's 60 seconds. And if Thomas was like, I'm looking for this person, I would get, because a lot of networkers are very specific. They'll give you a name. I'm looking for Billy Bob Thornton, who works at this organization and wants to, whatever. And I'd go on LinkedIn and I'd try and find that guy and I'd try and connect with him. So the following week, I could actually come in and go, you wanted Billy Bob. Here he is. He's waiting for your call. I would be sending emails. So visitors come to chapters. We'll talk about that in a minute. But every week you'd have visitors come into the chapter, people that are trying out BNI to decide if they want to become a member or not, whether they want to become a member or not. I would send them an email automatically. I would get their business card and I'd send them an email going, hey, David, it's really nice to meet you. I found it fascinating finding out about your business. Your brothel in Pasadena sounds lovely. I'm sure that I've got a lot of contacts who would love to visit your brothel at some point in the future, so I will send them your way. Something like that. I would connect with them by email. So because that's the other thing, by the way, the fortune is in the follow-up, right? The fortune is in the follow-up. Now, this goes to sales in general, and it's the big thing that a lot of people don't do. It's sales in general, but especially with networking. I can't tell you the amount of people that would go networking and they would be given a referral, literally a slip of paper with a person's name and a person's phone number on, and they're told that this person wants to speak to them about the services that they offer. And the amount of referrals I gave, and they were like, yeah, I haven't called them yet. Are you a freaking idiot? I literally told that person that you were going to call. That's making me not want to give you a referral ever again, because I've just given you a referral and you've dicked it up. So the fortune is in the follow-up. The second I would get a referral, I'd be like, right, okay, I'd have a spreadsheet and I'd be like, right, okay, I've just had this referral, right, I'm going to call them. No answer. Right, I'll email them. Then I'll follow up with another phone call a couple of days later because I want to get back to that person the next week. And I want to say, well, thanks very much for the referral. I've spoken to them, whatever it may be. So it's really important to work at it. It's really important to build up relationships. But here's one of the big things, and this is the big mistake that a lot of people make when they go networking. And it's something that we do in life. It's something that we do all of the time anyway, but it's especially true in business. Judging a book by its cover. Now, let me explain what I mean by that with an actual real world example. When I was knee deep in networking, like when I was like full on networking many, many years ago, I would be doing like 4 networking events a week. I'd have BNI that I would go to every week, and I'd probably go to 3, 4N networking meetings a week as well. And I would be networking all over the shop. And I remember, and I was a chapter director at the local one in Cannock to me. And it was Cannock for networking. And I'll never forget it. I was there, and there was a visitor that had never been networking before. Now, just so you know, at the time, I was actually running a couple of other businesses that I don't run now with my business partner at the time, Russell Leeds, and one of them was called Quick Move Property Management. In fact, when you come to my office, years later, I still haven't taken the Quick Move logo down. It'll still be on the front of the building. It's still there. I ran a company called Quick Move, which was a property management company for landlords specializing in HMOs, house of multiple occupation. And I had this business. And so I knew a lot of landlords. I had clients that were landlords, a lot of landlords I knew. So this guy who'd never been networking before, we'll call him Pompous Pete. He walked in, and he was a visitor. And Michelle was there, a friend of mine called Michelle, she calls herself the queen of networking, and she really is. There's nothing that this lady doesn't know about networking. She taught me everything I know. And she made it her business to get to know the visitors, which is something you should do. And she was like, what sort of thing are you looking for? And this guy told her, I'm really wanting to connect to landlords. And she's like, I know the person that you need to speak to. And I was on the other side of the room. Michelle came over, bringing the visitor over to me, and she went, Craig, I want to introduce you to somebody. This is Pete. Pete, this is Craig. Now, Craig is a magician. He's a really, really good magician. And she was about to say, but he also runs a property management company, and he knows hundreds of landlords who listen to every word he says, bearing in mind this guy wanted to be connected to landlords. But before she could say that, when she got to the point where Craig's actually an amazing magician, he stopped her and he went, I don't care. And he looked at me directly in the eyes and he went, I don't know who you are. I don't like magicians. I don't like magic. I don't want to see a magic trick. I'm here to connect with landlords. I don't want to speak to you. Leave me alone. And he just walked off. Now, I could have listened to him, sat down with him, and connected him at the time with most of the landlords in the area in which he was visiting. Did I? No. Why? Because he's a twat. And therein lies the biggest lesson you can have with networking. Don't be a twat. Because this guy was, right? Because he judged a book by his cover. He saw a suave, sophisticated magician. And he didn't realize that there was more to me as well. So that's so important. Like one of my biggest contracts I ever had was from a cleaner. Now, if you think about it, as a magician, why would I want to connect or build a relationship with somebody who runs a cleaning company? Now, it doesn't seem like a smart thing to do, right? Well, that person that ran the cleaning company gave me a massive gig. Massive gigs, actually. Why? Because their son was an event planner for one of the biggest venues in the Midlands. And as soon as she realized who I was and what I did, she was like, oh, I should connect you with my son. And she did. And I got a ton of work from it. And therein lies the next lesson. It's not about who they are. It's not about who they are or what they do. It's about who they know and who they're connected to. I'm sure you've all heard of the 7 degrees of Spacey, where it doesn't matter. You know, you can take any celebrity anywhere in the world. You've never heard of that? Thomas is looking befuddled. Look it up. It's Spacey, isn't it? 70. You know what I'm talking about? 7 degrees. Is it 7 degrees of Spacey or 7 degrees of
Six
somebody?
6 degrees of separation.
Six. Yeah, but 6 degrees of
They
separation. But they
they
always do
applied
it.
it to Kevin Bacon for a while.
Kevin
Yeah.
Bacon. That.
Yeah, the Kevin Bacon.
Kevin
Yeah.
Bacon. Yeah. Kevin Bacon. Yeah. In other words, you can connect any celebrity on planet Earth. You can connect them to Kevin Bacon within 6 attempts. You know, like, and people do it. It's a fun game. You can take anybody and you can go, well, this person acted in this film with this person, and this person was in this film with this person, and this person was spotted on the set with Kevin Bacon. I saw another one with it recently. There was this guy connecting like really old historical figures within 4 connections, like Elvis Presley with Hitler and stuff like that. Like within 3, he got Hitler to Elvis Presley in 2 connections. Like it's a thing that goes on, right? So with that in mind, it's not about you. You are so close to almost everybody, especially when you take LinkedIn into consideration and 1st degree and 2nd degree and 3rd degree connections on LinkedIn. You're really close to connecting to anybody. It's not about who it is that you're speaking to. It's about who they know, right? So tip number 1, make sure that you're working at it. Make sure you're working at it. Tip number 2, make sure you have a freaking awesome 60 seconds. Don't do the same 60 seconds every single time. Make it different every single time. Number 3, make sure that the fortune is in the follow-up. You got to follow up with everyone. Number 4, don't judge a book by its cover. Number 5, another really important point is make sure that you get to know every single visitor that comes to the chapter. You might not, those visitors might not end up being people that join the chapter, but by building up a relationship with them and emailing them and phoning them and maybe making meeting outside of the networking organization, you can build up a relationship with them, which has happened multiple times with me. I've had so much work from people who are visitors to the chapter that never ended up joining. Now, the other cool thing about BNI and other chapter-driven organizations is you can actually, right, because this is the problem. This is the problem, and it's not a problem. It's a good thing, but you need to be aware of it. So when you're working or when you're doing networking at a chapter-driven organization like BNI, because it's a single seat policy, they expect you to go in every single week. It has to be you that go. You can't miss one. It's very frowned upon if you don't go in. So the way that you're supposed to do it, if you can't go in one week for whatever reason, you're supposed to arrange a substitute, somebody who will go in on your behalf. And the advantage for that substitute is they can go and join your meeting, and you know they can pitch their business on your behalf. So they're sitting in your seat, they're keeping your seat warm. But you would send them a 60 seconds that they read out for your business, but then they can also do 60 seconds on their business and connect with people at a different chapter that they might not have been to before. And BNI has a very big website, and you can connect with lots and lots of people at local chapters. So, you know, if you can't go in one week, you can very easily find a substitute who will go in and sit there on your behalf. And it's a great way to reach out to other chapters and build up a relationship with people in other chapters. So it's not really an issue, but it's something that you should know about. Because also that's a big advantage of being in one of those organizations, because then you can go to other chapters. If you want to, like, for example, so I'll give you an example. I found out there was a BNI, I wanted to get in with a venue, and I found out there was a BNI meeting that took place at that venue. And one of the people at that BNI meeting was the person who ran the venue that it was taking place in. I'm like, I really need to go to that BNI meeting. So I arranged to be a substitute, and I went there and I connected with the person who ran the venue, and I became their resident magician. It didn't happen straight away. It took a few meetings and so on and so forth, but I became their resident magician. So you can actually use the fact that you can substitute in other chapters to your advantage, and it can actually be a really cool thing. So when you join a chat, so here's the thing: when you go to BNI, and I'm talking right now about face-to-face networking. There is virtual networking that's popped up since COVID. I'm not a big fan of it. I do enough on Zoom as it is without having to actually sit there and, do networking on Zoom. I prefer face-to-face. But when you are exploring opportunities to join a BNI, there is a cost to be there for a year, and the cost varies. It's normally about 300 or 400 quid or something like that, or at least it was a few years ago. It might have gone up a bit now. I don't know what the cost is. And then you pay X amount every single week for the cost of the breakfast, the meeting fee, and that's normally about 10 quid, something like that, $10. But when you're exploring your options, you can go to a chapter once for free as a visitor, sometimes twice, depends on the chapter. It's either once or twice. So you can either go there once, and then you got to decide whether you want to join or not, or you can go there twice, and then you've got to decide whether you join or not. So you can explore. You can, if you Google. So you were saying about. Hang on. There you go. So if I share my screen quickly, can you guys see this? So I've just Googled BNI Matlock Derby. And you can see there's a BNI Derbyshire South. There you go. So they've passed 300, almost £400,000 in. So when they talk about how much money they've passed, I say that you give each other referrals. When the referral has turned into an actual business, so let's say somebody had given you a referral for a gig, and you book that gig in, when that gig comes in, you would write down on a piece of paper how much that gig was worth, and the chapter adds it all up. So the members in this chapter, between them, passed almost £400,000 in the last 12 months. On average, increased their business by 20% in the first year. We have open categories for individuals, blah, 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 blah. If your category is open, then visit a meeting. So this one here meets in Derbyshire at Carter Lane East. There's 15 members, and they meet on a Thursday at 10 a.m. That's 10 a.m. is quite nice, actually.
That's near me as well.
Yeah, and there you go. These are the members. So there's an estate planner, there's a utility warehouse person, there's a finance person, there's a virtual assistant, there's a website designer, there's a counselor, a psychotherapist, there's a property person, there's a computer person, legal and accounting person, an advertising and marketing person, an insurance person, an engineer, a charity person, a property development person, and a mortgage person. That is who is there. Now, you might think, now I always tried to find chapters where there were people that, even though anybody will work, I tried to find chapters where there were people that maybe kind of had a bit of a synergy with me. So photographers, event planners, venues, DJs, tourists, not all of those people. No, so this is another one. Is this the same one? Oh yeah, this is the same one. But I mean, it's that one's available, and then there's this one here, BNI. I don't know. There's quite a few of them, as you can see. Love Business Networking. I've not been to, but that's. Oh, hang on. That's. Oh, here you go. BNI Advantage Derby, 7 till 9. So there's a 7 o'clock till 9 a.m. one there in the Bredsall Prior County Club or something like that. They're meeting on a Monday at 7 a.m. There you go. They're meeting on a Monday at 7 a.m. Yeah, look, every Monday, they're meeting. There should be a website to go and see them as well. Website, there you go. So if we go here, grow your business with BNI. You know, so you can go onto the actual BNI thing, contact us for more information. So it's just a little bit. Hang on, find the chapter there. Hang on. Let me just show you here. Find a chapter. There you go. Find a chapter. Begin now. Your first name. They're gonna make me do this, aren't they? I'm not. If I have to put my email address in, I'm out. Where are you located? No, I'm not going to do that now. I can't be asked. I really cannot be bothered. But the point is, you can go on there and you can see a whole bunch of different networking opportunities. There's a whole bunch of them. And then you can go as a visitor and try it out for a week. So the question then becomes, okay, Craig, so if networking is so good, why did you stop going? The reason I stopped going is because my business changed. I went from being a local business to a national business. Slightly Unusual and Non-Stop Kids became national. You know, we started performing literally all over the UK, John O'Groats to Land's End. Networking works best when you're localized and you're wanting to dominate a local area. So when I was first starting and I was getting lots of gigs in my local area, it was amazing. But when I was having like 50, 60 entertainers literally all over the UK, it was less effective because I was going into BNI and I was getting like maybe 3 referrals a week, which is amazing if you're a magician working on your own. But as my company was generating like 200 inquiries a day, it was like a drop in the ocean, but it was taking me hours out of my day to do it every single week. So it became a case of I just don't have time to do this anymore. As you guys know, I'm a big believer in time management and I'm a big believer in making sure I maximize every second of my day. So it became something that wasn't really a viable option for me anymore. Doesn't mean it's not good. It's just, if I shut down Non-Stop Kids and Slightly Unusual today, and I decided I wanted to just be a magician and just work for myself, I would join a networking organization tomorrow. That's the first thing that I would do. So if I was going into an area cold and I'd never been in that area before, the first thing that I'd do is to set up a website. The second thing I'd do is set up social media. And the third thing that I'd do is I would go and join a networking organization because it would be the best and the quickest way for me to get my name out to local businesses that can help promote my business for me instead of me having to go out and do it myself. And I would allocate time. Now, there is one other thing that I'd say, which is don't get carried away. And this is a problem that a lot of people will do. And honestly, at one point, I got kind of tied up in this as well. And this became a problem for me. Networking can become addictive in that you can become a busy fool if you're not careful. Like I'd got to a point where I was doing like 6 networking events a week. I was going to breakfast meetings every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday. I was doing a lunchtime meeting on a Friday. I was doing a couple of evening meetings, and I was just basically spending my entire time just going to networking meetings and just networking with as many people as I can. Was it generating work? Yes. But it meant I didn't have time to do anything else. I didn't have time. There's other important business related activities that you should be doing. I was spending no time at all concentrating on social media or digital marketing or SEO or PPC or email marketing or infrastructure or anything else that you need to do in order to grow a business. It's a little bit like, and I've told this to Thomas many, many times, it's a little bit like spinning plates. Running a business is like spinning plates. Right, okay, right. I've got my website done. It's okay right now. I've spun that plate. Now, social media, right. Okay, I've started posting on social media. That's awesome. Brilliant. Right, okay. That's great. Now, email marketing, I've spun that plate. I need to get my account sorted. That's that plate. Oh, shit. Now the website needs updating. I'm going to go back to that place. Oh, crap. Now I've got to go back to that place. Now, networking. Oh, my God. Now it's a little bit like plate spinning. It's a fine art, right? And for a time, I just fucked off all the other plates and just spun that networking plate like there was no tomorrow, and it was not a good thing to do. So networking is good, but so is pizza. But if you have too much pizza, you can drop dead and die. You know, it's the same thing with networking. Networking is good, but you need to you need to make sure that you're not doing that and nothing else. There are other activities in your business that you should be doing as well. But ultimately, having said all of that, I really do believe that networking is the absolute single best way to generate work, especially localized work in your area. Does it replace having a website? No. Does it replace having social media? No, but it works right alongside them. It really does. But it's all about, as I say, the most important thing is crafting a good 60 seconds, making sure that you are working at it, you're building up relationships. And the other thing is, and this is going to sound a bit weird, but don't be the guy that's just constantly doing magic all of the time. I meet people that go to networking events and they just walk into the open networking and like they treat it like a walk around strolling gig. Pick a card, pick a card, pick a card. That's not you building up a relationship with people. That's you showing off. You know, trust me, the last thing that people want to see at 6:30 in the morning is a fucking card trick. The last thing I want to do at 6:30 in the morning is a card trick. Most people don't want to see a card trick at 6:30 in the morning. I always had something with me. My go-to was something that looked, I was doing EDC magic before EDC was a thing. I always used to have stuff on me that looked like it was just in my pocket. My big one was Keymaster. I used to do Keymaster all the time because it just looked like I had it on my keys. And if somebody said, and I'd have to get them to beg me for it, oh, please show me a trick, please show me a trick. I'm like, go on then, really quickly, I'll show you a quick trick. And I'd gather a few people around and I'd make it very, very quick. So stuff I used to do Keymaster. Uh, I used to do double cross before I stopped doing double cross because it looked like I just had a pen in my pocket and it was really powerful. I did a couple of peeks into my wallet. I'd taken you know, like a business card out and I'd do a peek. I would not do anything with a pack of cards, nothing that looked like it was a magic prop. I wouldn't do stuff with you know, let me take this golden coin, show you something amazing with it. I'd never do anything like that. It would be stuff that looks like I had it on me. The provision, the one bit that I did do magic in, whenever it was my 10 minutes. So I talked about how you have a 10-minute presentation. I would do a 10-minute parlor act. I would do 10 minutes. I'd just say, so guys, my name's Craig, as you all know, and I've been given 10 minutes to basically tell you about my business. But in all honesty, you all know I'm a magician. So I think the best way for me to do this is to actually just show you some magic for the next 10 minutes. And everybody's favorite 10 minutes was when I came up on the roster because they know they were basically going to be getting a 10-minute magic show. And because it was like very sporadic, you know, I only did the 10 minutes every 2 months. It was something that everybody looked forward to. And that really helped generate more work as well. Now, when I was doing one-to-ones, when I was sitting down with people, then I might do a trick or two. Because that's where I'm building a relationship and I'm trying to show them that I'm really good at what I do. But I didn't force magic down people's throats because it was more important to me when I was at the networking event to build relationships up. And the key thing is, I always wanted to say, so tell me about your business. What do you do? That was my opening line at networking whenever. When visitors came through the door, I was always the person that greeted them because I wanted them to look at me and go, oh, he's a nice guy. I wanted whatever their business to be. I wanted them to think of me. I wanted them to remember me. So they walked through, I would get the visitor list before they came in. I'd like say, who's the visitors today? And they'd tell me. And the second that I saw them walk in with a little badge on, I'd be like, right, because they had stickers if they were a visitor. I'm like, right, I know that's a visitor. So I'd be the first person to walk over and it's normally a bit nerve-wracking going into a networking meeting if you've never done it before. So I thought I'm gonna help put their mind at ease and let them know that everything's okay and not to be nervous. Whilst at the same time, I'm building up the relationship right from the beginning. So I'd walk up and I'd go, hey, welcome to BNI, Wolverhampton. My name's Craig. What's your name? John. It's really nice to meet you, John. What do you do? You're a plumber. Oh, that's interesting. Where do you plumb, John? What sort of things do you plumb? And what's, where do you plumb? What sort of things do you plumb? And I'd find out about their business. And inevitably, after a couple of minutes, they'd turn around to me and go, "What do you do?" And I go, "Well, I'm very weird, John. I'm actually a magician." "Really? You are?" "Yeah, I do magic. Yeah, I run a company that supplies magicians all over all over the area." "Oh, that's really cool." "Yeah, it is really cool." And I just use that opportunity to build up a relationship. And then I'd try to actually introduce them to people. So when I found out what they did, like a plumber, I'd say, "John, let me introduce you to somebody." And I would go up to somebody like the carpenter and I'd say, "John, this is James. James runs a carpentry business. You run a plumbing business. I'm guessing that there's going to be some sort of crossover there. I can't even change a plug, but I'm guessing between the two of you, there's going to be some sort of crossover there in terms of clients. John, why don't you have a chat with this with this gentleman, and you guys can have a conversation." And everybody knew me as the person. I was the connector. I would connect everybody together. But because I was the person that was connecting everyone together, for me, it was just another way of me establishing relationships with all my chapter members, because they all knew that when somebody walked in through the door that had anything to do with what their business was, they knew that it would be me that would introduce them. So it was just another way for me to build up relationships. It was another way for me to build up relationships, both with my chapter members and also with the visitors that were coming in through the door. And it works. It works, but only if you work at it and you give it time. It won't work if you just play at it. You'll just waste your time for a year and spend a few £100 and have a lot of cooked breakfasts. But if you work at it, it will absolutely work 100%, and it's a great way to generate more work. I just spent the last hour talking, so let's get some questions, because I don't think I've got much else I can say, but I'd love to answer some questions on this. Chris, you got your hand up.
So thanks, Greg, for this. This is I used to do networking a long time ago, and a lot of these are great refreshers of going back into those meetings. And looking at BNI, just an FYI, BNI is now about $1,000, $1,200 a year from what
Holy
their
shit.
site says. Yeah.
Okay.
So they say, when you're serious about it, dive in. Now, the one I belong to, I've got to go back. I know they're still around. They were only in Georgia, in the U.S., but it was about the same. It was about $300 last time I remember. So I'm hoping they didn't do the same price increases. But I did have two questions. One was, how long was it before you received your first lead? I did it selling copiers. I wasn't selling magic. So how long did it take for someone to trust you enough? Was it the first quarter? Was it 6 months until you got a lead that actually generated cash? And then I'll follow up with that on one other thing.
Okay. So it was a month, and
Okay.
I remember exactly what it was. It was a restaurant residency. So the accountant there, I had an accountant, and I was very unhappy with the accountant. And I met the accountant, and the accountant there was really, really good. And I was like, "Well, I'm just going to transfer all of my accounts over to you, and you can do my accounts, because frankly, you can't be anywhere near as bad as the guy that I've got right now." So I transferred all the accounts over, and then the next week, I was talking about restaurant residencies, and I was trying to get restaurant residencies, and the accountant had a brother who ran a big, like, wedding venue stroke bar thing, literally
Nice.
5 minutes down the road from me. So he connected me, and I got a residency there, and I did all the Christmas entertainment there, lots of big contract. I haven't done anything there since COVID. But right up until COVID, it was a regular client for years. So that was the first thing that I had. Yeah, it was from the accountant. So it was about a month.
Wow. So your return is almost immediate with I mean, you could have paid for years with the first lead. Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, the thing I did is I went in, I did a lot of research into networking because at the time I had no money.
yeah.
And I had this thing hanging over my head, which was Sarah telling me I had to actually start making money, else had to stop doing magic. So I was like, sure. So I went into this thing thinking, right, I have to make this work. So I really went all in at building relationships, and I was like, I'm going to try and do this as quickly as I possibly can. And I expected not to get anything for months, but yeah, it was a month.
So my second question, last question, then, because it would be a great, because I was thinking as you were going through some things I'd love to hear you follow up on, like this is good on networking. I'd love to see the social media memberships, how you would spin those up today,
Mm.
versus websites and stuff. But what did you do any database even back then? Because we didn't really have databases when I started. We had Excel spreadsheets, right? But when you looked at databases today, what would you have used back then to put in your leads? And because I would imagine, knowing you and the way you run biz, you would want to know your payback when it was, the leads generated as a percentage of overall business from the lead groups. So what database would you use, and would it be the same one you're using today, or would
Great
somebody,
question.
you
So
know?
yeah, so I had already set up Infusionsoft for my business as a CRM because I knew I needed a client relationship management tool, and I kind of figured that Infusionsoft would be the best bet. So what I did is Infusionsoft has an app where you can scan somebody's business card, and that information will go straight into Infusionsoft, which is really cool. So what I would do is I set up some automation inside Infusionsoft. And what the automation did is when I scanned their business card, it waited 3 hours and then it sent them an email because I wanted it to feel like it was like not automated. So I waited 3 hours and then it sent them an email after 3 hours saying, "Hey, it's great. It was great to meet you today at BNI. I hope you enjoyed our chat." And then I kind of went down the whole give us gain route. So I said, I would love to find out more about your business so I can tell our client, I can try and maybe help find referrals for you. So if you click the link below, it's going to take you through to a web form that I've set up. If you could just answer those questions, that's going to really help me out. So that email went out to them automatically. And then when they click the link, it sent them through to a web form. And there were just 4 questions. And it was like, tell me about your business. In a couple of sentences, tell me who your preferred customers were. There were 4 questions about their business because I wanted them to feel like I was wanting to find out more about their business, and I was wanting to find out more about their business, but I wanted to take the first step. So I had them fill this in. When they filled it in, that went straight into their profile on the CRM. So I could literally go onto the CRM and I could see all of this information. So I've permanently got it there. So, and I can access it on my phone. So next time
Right.
I met them at a meeting, I was like, oh, that's that guy. I could quickly go into my phone and go, oh, he's after this thing. So I can walk up to him and I can go, hey, how's blah, 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 blah. Are you having any luck finding blah, 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 blah. But so they fill in the form, and then that triggered a piece of automation that waited 3 hours and then sent them an email saying, thanks so much. I've just seen you filled in the form for me. Thank you so much. Um, I really appreciate it. I'm going to try and find some referrals for you. In return, please allow me to tell you a bit about my business. And then I literally just put some facts about Slightly Unusual and what we do and so on and so forth. And I think I embedded the video in there as well, the show reel. I was like, hey, if there's something I can do to help, please let me know. And then the last piece of automation, which I was quite proud of, is it took all of that information and put it onto an Excel spreadsheet automatically. So when that email fired off, it put everything onto an Excel spreadsheet. And the other thing it did is I connected Infusionsoft via Zapier to LinkedIn. So what it then did, it automatically sent it over to LinkedIn and sent a friend request or a connection request to them on LinkedIn, and then fired another email off an hour later going, P.S. I've just sent you a LinkedIn connection request. Feel free to accept it. I'd love to chat to you on LinkedIn. And that was all done with one scan of a business card. I didn't have to do anything, but it meant I had all the information within my CRM. So next time I saw them, I would have all that information. And from their point of view, I've done some really serious follow-up with them, whilst in reality, all I did, I said I spent the morning doing anybody who was new, scan business card, scan business card, scan business card, scan business card, and I would just do that every single meeting.
Wow. So you could literally meet 100 people, and before you even got back to your place by lunch, all these emails were sent, all these connections were already made, and it was already in your database for the future.
Yeah.
That's friggin' sick. Okay.
Yes. Pretty
Thanks,
awesome.
man. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. No problem at all. Jeremy.
Hey, Craig. Hey, it was just, you were talking about relationship marketing, and I never heard it put in that phrase before, but I just thought that was kind of interesting because there was another sales book that I was reading by Jeffrey Gitomer, and he said, all things aside, people want to do business with their friends. And all things not aside, people want to do business with their friends. And one of the things, because of the fields that I work in, we learn these little psychological tricks to kind of flip things back toward people. And it sounds silly, but I think it's fun, is whenever somebody asks me, how are you doing for the day? And I don't want to answer it. And I go, oh, hey, I was actually going to ask you the same thing. And then they go, oh, and they start talking and they kind of answer the questions. And I can kind of keep it leading until we run off to other things. But it works the same way in networking. If somebody doesn't catch you off guard, they go, oh, hey, what do you do? I was about to ask you the same thing. And then they start talking about their business, because sometimes I feel better talking about what I do if I can ask them a bunch of questions first. What's going on? What do you do? Oh, that's really cool. You're an engineer on what? Oh, man, and then I feel okay flipping it back around to me. But just a little thing just made me think about that. That was all. But relationship marketing, I like that phrase a lot.
Yeah. It really is. It's all about building relationships. It's all about getting people to know you, getting people to like you in any capacity, not just networking, but everything. It's all about building relationships. That's one thing I've tried to do my entire career, just build relationships with as many people as possible. I mean, that's the whole business model of Non-Stop Kids and Slightly Unusual, building up relationships.
So there you go, guys. That's another video in the bag. Once again, thank you so much for joining me. I promise you the 5x5s will be back next week. And tomorrow we're trialing a new thing. So on Tuesday, tomorrow, we're actually doing Magic News. I'm doing a video called Magic News where I talk about all the news that's happening in Magic right now. If you guys like that, we'll start doing that regularly as well. But I'll see you again tomorrow with Magic News. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, if you do want to join the Netrix, you just go to thenetrix.com. It's my online streaming platform. The value in there is incredible. Either way, I'll see you again soon. My name's Craig, and this is Magic TV.